This is a game that I haven't even taken the time to really just absorb. Like I really kind of don't know what's happening right now because I missed the announcement. So I missed the catalyst. That moment where you first enter this concept into your brain and then you just slowly build upon it. Before you get your hands on it. And I don't see what's Horizon. And not only do we have to figure that out from its presentation at the press conference, but you saw the same demo or something different being played, Mr. Huber?
It was mostly the same.
Okay.
They were playing it in front of me, and there was a little bit before and a little bit after the demo. So Horizon Zero Dawn.
Correct.
To be specific.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the subtitle.
The main character gives 0 dawns, man.
So super cagey about plot details, keeping it under wraps.
Integrity of the story.
Yes.
Dude, satellite dish brontosauruses, whatever the heck they are. I mean, who needs anything more than that?
So they're calling this a post-apocalyptic future because it's over 1,000 years.
Integration. You know what I mean? Like what we were talking about before. Like a lot of these games, like Deus Ex, were just like the XCOM. Like the aliens are here. They've landed. We've integrated into the society.
So we're 1,000 years in the future. There are tribes now, which is what our hero is a part of. Aloy, her name is. She's part of a tribe. The creatures themselves are guarding something. We don't know what. And they have a symbiotic relationship with the Earth. And that's really all they said about the plot. So it opens up. She's, looking over this majestic landscape. There's mountains everywhere. Brandon Jones, you're pumped. Just the year of open world.
Right.
Completely open world. No loading, they specified. And her mission, it was from the demo, her mission is to gather that green precious resource from those creatures for another tribe that desperately needs those supplies. So she goes down and she hides in this bush, and this watcher is going by. It's actually this part right here. The watcher is there, and if the watcher sees her, it'll call for backup. So she kills it, and when she kills it, she's saddened, and they weren't saying why. She stabs it in the gut, and she's like, "Sorry, I couldn't risk you warning the others."
Well, it's like the Indian way. They would if they killed a deer for dinner, they'd apologize.
So she stealths over to all the creatures that have the green thing on them, and she lays a trap. She has this really cool line gun that shoots into the wall, and then you slam it on the ground, and it creates a tripwire. So she lays a couple of those down, and flanks around the side and shoots one, and then they all run that way through the traps. Just the way that played was really, really cool. It was like she was hunting. So some of them scatter. They drop a bunch of resources, but a couple of those, they call them the alphas, the alpha males, stuck around and battled her while the few that survived could flee. So she's fighting those, takes them down. Then she gathered resources, and then they were talking about trading. So there's going to be a huge economy, which got me pumped. Huge economy. You can trade these resources, or you can use them to craft materials. She has a ton of different variations for her bow, explosive arrows, shock arrows. They were really, 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 really hyping up how rare explosive arrows are because they're super powerful. So I loved that impact of them. So then this thing came out of nowhere, the Thunderjaw.
Nice.
What an excellent name.
Yeah, so this thing just emerges from the forest. It's already at half health when it emerges because it dynamically had gotten into a scuffle with another tribe somewhere along the way. So it comes out of the forest. It's got spears sticking out of the side. And they just pause the game right now, and they start just gushing about their tech. So just this thing has like 15 types of attacks. Like 15 attack moves, this thing. It has multiple launchers. It has a laser blast, a tail swipe, a stomp, a bite. So
Can you imagine how much fun it would be to fight that thing?
Yeah.
You never know what's coming at you.
yeah, you never know. So she's constantly on her toes. She's trying to just bounce around. This thing is super intense and in your face. It's playing so cool because when she would get up close, it would stomp and tail swipe. And then when she would get out of there because it's kicking her ass, then it would go into defensive mode and try to keep her at range and fire lasers and rockets.
Not to mention, this is just like a thing
This
that's
is
roaming
one-
around.
one
you know?
enemy,
So it's not like
right?
this is a setup where, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's Call of Duty and you're supposed to fight this helicopter right now and then you're done and you never see it again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you memorize those 15 attacks and you just like, I own this because
Yeah.
I'm an awesome hunter and I know what this thing's going to do.
Yeah.
And you just stumble across these in the environment, you know, clean them up.
Yeah, so it has a lot of weak points, and they're trying to go for those. They switch to their electric arrows. Shoot like 4 or 5 of these arrows into the thing. The thing goes down, stunned. Switches back to the explosive arrow. Shoots off one of the rocket launchers. Picks it up and just starts blasting away. I think they did it in the demo.
Yeah.
It was just super satisfying. Finally killed the thing. And that was pretty much the end of that demo. And then they showed us some concept art and briefly talked about some other things in the game. The vibe I got, they showed some concept art of a town. Give me a Final Fantasy 12 vibe.
Those are some of the greatest
Yes.
towns
This
in JRPG
this
history.
fantasy, sandy style town that it looked real good. And then, so you get fully customizable weapons and outfits. They didn't talk about that at all, but she has a bunch of different layers, and that's going to factor into different passive abilities for her character.
I've played and enjoyed, to varying degrees,
Yeah.
every Killzone game that's come out.
Yeah.
I really like some of those things about the games. I especially the multiplayer in Killzone 3, I spent a lot of time with. I have never had an emotional response to Killzone, and it's never gotten me excited or hyped. When I saw this demo,
Right.
it blew me away.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, if you didn't have the Guerrilla preamble before, I was like, yeah, this is a Ninja Theory game. They're exploring this amazing concept with this character that I'm already attached to, like her narration, the way it's delivered, everything about her is compelling. And then this massive battle with this mechazoid Tyrannosaurus Rex. Like, this is... I never would have thought in a million years that Guerrilla Games would be making this.
Yeah. They were pitching it, I guess, for years, trying to get this thing off the ground. Finally, you know, they were saying, you know, we just kept bugging them. They were working on it when Shadowfall was being worked on. Small team. Now that Shadowfall is finally out, the whole team moved to it. And they were just everything about it and the way they were talking about the story was so mysterious. I wanted to know. There were areas that were like, humans haven't set foot in certain areas for 1,000 years. Or like
Peter Dinklage said that, and like I've been back to
That's
that area
true.
5 times.
That's
You know,
true.
it's really not
But they were hyping up too. The mechanical monsters are protecting something, and they have created certain areas for very specific reasons that we will not discuss.
And let's talk about these things, man. These things are awesome. Like the design is so unique, and it's not like, oh, another one of these games. Like there's so many things about this.
Right. I mean, it's like what? I mean, Monster Hunter, the closest thing you can compare this to.
Well,
And-
I want to bring up something, and I'm sure it's like every conversation's bringing up Enslaved. Like just because of really exploring, like you're saying, like going so far in the future that if you look at something from a distance, it looks like a forest, and you get up close, and it's actually a city, you know, and like they actually have a shot in here where it just shows like all of the foliage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the you know, these giant monsters walking around and like this big metal foot, you know, slamming down in this beautiful
It's
like
really
snowy you know, foliage, you know, laden field with all of these things walking around. That juxtaposition is rad. I really like that. I really like they belong and yet they don't. But you don't belong at the same time.
Right.
You know, it's like It's the whole thing feels very organic, and damn if this isn't one of the best looking games to come out of the show,
Yeah.
bar none, hands down.
Yeah, because I mean, I think as much as Enslaved, had a different view of a wasteland, a post-apocalyptic wasteland, like it still in a lot of places felt like you were in the ruins, and this is like no, life has moved on. Like this is what the world is doing now.
Yeah.
That's the thing for me is think about how many post-apocalyptic games you've played where you're aware that the apocalypse has happened. You have some semblance of an idea of what civilization was like beforehand, and how many games where you fought mechanical enemies where you were aware that they didn't have emotions or feelings. But here, all of that is gone.
Yeah.
Those mechanical monsters might as well be living, breathing animals to that character because she doesn't know any better. And that perspective is fascinating.
The perspective of her not even knowing what they're doing.
I'm way more interested in what these things are doing, what they do now, why they roam around, how their AI is restructured, than like what happened to the world. Like I don't care. Like
Right.
we're humans are dumb. I get it.
Is there going to be some evil overlord that created these?
Oh
or-
no!
yeah.
You're bringing me right back down.
Yeah, if one of these
Yeah.
things turns around in one scene and talks to you, it's like,
I
but
have
like,
created.
But again,
AI.
makes you wonder. It's like, yeah, we've seen these natural enemies. Maybe there are humanoid robots. Maybe there are, emplacement type things. Maybe it's not just these dinosaurs or these things that look like regular animals that you would see. And I'm sure just finding these new things, it's like one thing to find like a cool griffin in The Witcher, and it's another thing when you like come into a clearing, like what the hell is that?
Oh, there was a concept art.
There
was a concept picture.
Does it want to kill me? Like how do I fight it?
There was a mechanical griffin that they showed concept art. It was really cool. Looked exactly like a griffin, but like cyborg.
I say we end on that. I mean,
Yeah.
Mechanical Griffin, we're done. We're out.
Cyborg griffin.
Very
I want to play this.
Yeah, very exciting, but we're not going to get to play it for a long time. But
Long
there it
time.
is. We've seen it. We love it.
Yeah.
And thank you, Huber, for checking it out.
Yep.